If you expect disappointment, then you can never be disappointed. But am I disappointed? That is the question. Hey everyone, this is D, Movieman, fellow cinephile, popcorn addict, and emerging film critic, coming to you with reliable recaps, reviews, and reactions. And today I am coming to you all with a review for Spider-Man No Way Home, directed by Jon Watts and starring Tom Holland, Zendaya, Benedict Cumberbatch, and Jacob Batalon. Story-wise, the film follows the events of Far From Home, where, in a shocking twist, Peter Parker is framed for murder and his identity is revealed to the general public. Hoping to undo the fallout from this scandal, Peter seeks out Doctor Strange for assistance. But what begins as a simple spell goes terribly awry, causing dangerous adversaries from other worlds to suddenly manifest, wreaking untold havoc and forcing Peter into a massive battle, one that not even he may be prepared to face. So I am going to start with the pros. There is not a whole lot to say here, but I mean that in the best way possible. As I mentioned, this film is directed by Jon Watts. This is the third Spider-Man MCU film that he has directed, following 2017's Spider-Man Homecoming and 2019's Spider-Man Far From Home, and it is also the 27th film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I know that the MCU encompasses so many different characters, so many different universes and stories, which also means with the various films we're getting, we have a lot of different directors that are coming on board. But I think that this is such a great example of how one director can create a really clear, solid, fun, and unique vision for a Marvel character and bring their A game every single time and with every single film. And I also appreciate how this film, whether you are a fan of Spider-Man or not, whether you prefer previous iterations of Spider-Man or not, how it really does justice to the character and it highlights everything that is special and remarkable, formidable, and yes, even lovable when it comes to Spider-Man. Comedy, humor, and how the MCU handles that tends to be a very polarizing thing for a lot of people. Some people absolutely love it, and it's a big part of why they enjoy watching these films. And then for some people, they absolutely despise it, and it's why they actually avoid going to see these films. Or if they do go to see them, it tends to sour the experience somewhat. I can be honest and say that it's up and down for me. I think when it works, it really works. And when it doesn't work, it really doesn't work. And I felt like this film, much like the first two, did a pretty solid job of handling the humor and comedy aspect. It wasn't too over the top, it wasn't too obnoxious. The laughs felt genuinely earned. They didn't feel super forced like other films I've seen recently. And a big part of that credit goes to Chris McKenna and Erik Sommers. Together, they have collaborated and co-written the screenplays for films like the Lego Batman movie, Jumanji: Welcome to the Jungle, Ant-Man and the Wasp, and of course, the last two Spider-Man films. And in pretty much all those films, I felt like the comedic writing and the dialogue, just how that was handled, I thought it was really, really solid. I really enjoyed it. And as you can tell, it was also handled really well in this film. Performance-wise, I thought the performances in general were pretty solid across the board. I honestly appreciate every actor that was a part of this film, especially Tom Holland. As someone who was probably considered to be an unlikely choice from this character years ago, I think that he has really breathed new life into Peter Parker and Spider-Man and just brings a lot of youth and vitality and energy to the character that I really enjoy. And I also have to say, considering how this film takes some intensely emotional and dark turns, I also felt like his performance was absolutely on par with that as well. And speaking of those dark and emotional turns, I appreciated that this film wasn't afraid to take some risks. It may not be as many as some of us may have been hoping for, but there were enough that caught me off guard and definitely took my breath away, especially with some of these action sequences. I also really enjoyed the score. Michael Giacchino is our composer here, and he has done work in countless films, television series, short films, holiday specials, and even theme park attractions, including Space Mountain at Disneyland. He's also responsible for the score in the previous two Spider-Man films, and I thought he did another excellent job here. There were so many moments here where I could really feel the score just heightening and intensifying the emotion throughout, especially in some very specific scenes. I can't spoil them, of course, but when the score hit, it really hit, and I absolutely appreciated that. Lastly, I like that even with the multitude of villains that we're getting here, a personal favorite of mine is a standout, and I love that everything that I appreciated about that particular character was highlighted, and once again, I can't say more, but what they did with that character, they took it to a new level. And as far as the story is concerned, I appreciated that because it raised the stakes very, very quickly. All right, now I'm going to jump over to the cons. Not a lot to mention here, but definitely a couple of things worth noting. I think there are a lot of aspects of the story that work, and then there are other aspects of the story that don't work. I always talk about how I am a huge suspension of disbelief person, and it's really easy for me to just go with the flow. And I didn't have a problem doing that with this film. But I will say, depending on who you are, the logistics of the story and how certain things progress and certain moments come together, that may or may not work for you, and it might even frustrate you. Overall, I think the jokes and the humor and the comedy was pretty solid, and naturally, some of the jokes here just don't land, and a few of them even feel like they're reaching for a comedic moment, and it's not quite there. I will also say that with all of these villains and antagonists vying for screen time, it's easy for some to have a more prominent role and more of a focus, while others get sidelined. And that does happen here, and I didn't really love that. This last con is not about the film per se, but it does speak to the marketing of the film, and I know it's something that a lot of people are going to be thinking about or considering either going into the film or leaving the film. Can we please, and I do mean please, figure out how to market these films and, get the ball rolling, get the hype train going without it being all these leaks, all of these updates, all of these reports. Nothing was spoiled for me in theory because I did avoid the trailers, but there's also been a lot of buzz and a lot of chatter online. So even as someone who is not looking for that information, it's very easy for it to just pop up out of nowhere. And I think that there is really something to be said about devaluing the cinematic impact of a film just for the sake of box office receipts. I get it, we have money to make, especially in the middle of a Ponderosa. It's all about the Benjamins, baby. But at the same time, it's aggravating that some of these filmmakers and these studios cannot trust in the vision of the films that they are pushing out enough to just say, you know what, we'll tease a little something here and we'll give you an idea here. No, we just have to hey, it's this, and it's this, and it's this. And it's just that's not the way to go. And ultimately, if all you really care about is the film making money, as opposed to it leaving a lasting impact on the audience and on its viewers, then what exactly is the point?
Message!
So, with all that being said, I am going to go ahead and give Spider-Man No Way Home an A+. I am certain that the hype surrounding this film is going to ward off plenty of people, which is fine. I totally understand that. But as far as I'm concerned,
I didn't believe anything you told me. I thought it was all, I didn't think any of it had any credibility, but it's all true. You did the right thing! All true.
It has really been a huge year for the MCU, starting with WandaVision all the way back in January. I can't even believe that it was January when that show came out. And we have gotten countless shows and films related to the Marvel Universe. And if you are a Marvel fan, this has been your year. I'm totally here for it. And although I will say that some of these films, as far as Phase 4, have been a little bit of a mixed bag, I think Spider-Man No Way Home definitely brought it home. No pun intended. Spider-Man No Way Home is currently playing in theaters. You guys feel free to check it out, leave your thoughts below, and let me know what you think. So, once again, this is D, Movieman, signing off, and I'll see you at the movie.